Tuesday nights. Tuesday nights is when you can catch us, 8 p.m. Central Time. Jeffri Chadiha, NFL Network. Eric Eager, Sumer Sports in his comfy chair. So we're ready to do some mock drafting. My name is Soren Petro here from Sports Radio 810 WHB. I wish I could sit in my comfy chair. But if I did, my face would be so fat, like it would fill up the whole screen. I have to sit up straight or I look like I'm 500 pounds. So I'm jealous, Eric. Skinny Eric in his chair. Listen, we're going to talk about the extensions that were handed out by the Kansas City Chiefs. Then we're going to give you all 7 picks of the Chiefs draft. You can mark it down. One of us will nail every pick in every round. So you're going to get it one way or another, whether you like it or not, coming at you right now on the Red, Gold, and Bold.
You're listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeffri Chadiha, Eric Eager, and Soren Petro. Jeffri Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Eric Eager is the vice president of research and development for Sumer Sports. Soren Petro was the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the best Chiefs podcast, Jeffri Chadiha, Eric Eager, and Soren Petro.
Thank you, Curtis. We do appreciate it. It is mock draft time as we are less than, 48 hours away from the 2024 NFL draft. Time to mock draft up what the Kansas City Chiefs have done. But first, we've got some news, real news. The Kansas City Chiefs, not shockingly, I referred to it today as dog bites man. They decided to extend the contracts of Andy Reid, Brett Veach, and Mark Donovan, the president of the Kansas City Chiefs, the business side of the operation. Jeff, I know this doesn't come as a surprise, but what does it state about the Chiefs? What does it mean to you to see all 3 of those, not just announced, but announced all together?
Well, look, I think they're making a statement about just the success. To me, it's overdue. Should have been done last year. I think once you get a couple championships in the bag after going 50 years without one, you should be having the highest paid coach and one of the highest paid GMs. Veach especially was probably egregiously underpaid for a long time. And Donovan's done a great job. They are a team. They're united. You can't really argue about the success they've had. And they're positioned to have even more success. So, it's great to see for all those guys. Happy for them. I joked on the radio earlier today that means probably more player complaints about the locker rooms and the training room. Cafeteria ain't getting taken care of this year.
Yeah.
But good for them.
What do you think, Eric? I mean, you agree, long overdue?
Oh, of course. I think, though, that it does perpetuate this idea in Kansas City, to Jeff's point, of Pat's important, Andy's important. Now it's Brett Veach is important. And then some of the people who have been instrumental in this thing being great, Ted Cruz, Brant Tillett, there is a little bit of an exodus from the non-Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, what the league thinks the reason the Chiefs are good. So I do think that it's obviously awesome that Andy Reid's going to be here till 2029 and Patrick Mahomes is going to be here probably forever. But the job isn't done for Andy Reid, who's been a pretty good locker room builder, especially last year where things were going tough. But this doesn't make it easier. I'll say that.
Yeah, I would agree. And they do lose. I mean, Ted Cruz is more on the business and PR side, but it is part of the mix, right? Does that put more pressure on somebody else? And, I'm interested in that it's overdue, or did they get enough of a raise beforehand? Jeff, when you say it's overdue, do you think, were they complaining? Was word on the street that Brett Veach is looking around?
I think it was pretty well known that Veach was underpaid. Like, again, we don't know exactly what their contracts were, but you think about the kind of money that's being paid to guys at that position now. And Eric's boss, Thomas Dimitrov, can speak to this too. It's changed a lot from when he was a GM, the kind of money you're getting paid. Nick Caserio gets a pretty good deal, got a pretty good deal to go to Houston from the New England Patriots. And I would almost bet you he was probably being paid more than Brett Veach was when he stepped into that job.
Significantly so.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff you're talking about. And I think that, look, I like Clark Hunt. I've spent time with him, got to know him, but I do think this is the winner's tax that you have to start, really flexing your muscles and paying people in a way that impresses people around the league, because you don't want to get the reputation of, hey, they're winning, but they're cutting costs. You're already seeing that with the players. So you have to start doing more of that. And to Eric's point, I mean, you've got people leaving, going off for better jobs, and you want to keep as many people in houses to be a part of this as you can for as long as you can.
And they've been good. Like Mike Borgonzi's the assistant GM; he's been there the whole time. There are people, Dave Merritt should be a defensive coordinator in the NFL right now. There are still people there who, because of circumstances, are still there and are thriving in the Chiefs world, but little by little, Ryan Poles, there's people that are kind of falling off, like not falling off, but to Jeff's point, getting better opportunities. And not only, I think lateral opportunities pay better sometimes than the Chiefs opportunity. And so once you've got, it's sort of this question of, once you've gotten to the mountaintop 3 times, what's a fourth? If for a guy like Ted Cruz going and being like the assistant to the president and CEO, for twice as much money or whatever, I don't know what the reported thing is, that's at some point it becomes less about winning the team battle once you won so many Super Bowls, and especially if you're not the one that's on the billboards. And I think that's, now that they're paying and Chris Jones too, like they're very consolidated in who they outwardly value, and that's probably not going to hurt them broadly, but I think from a micro level, there's always going to be a little bit of like, you're part of the core, you're not part of the core.
Yeah, and there was a lot of, people don't know this, but when they went to this most recent Super Bowl, there was a lot of people complaining about how many tickets you could have, like what kind of perks you could get, who could be in the hotels, stuff like that begins to add up. And so you just saw the comment. I think it's a good step to say, hey, we're going to start treating people better and showing it through what we pay them.
The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Parking lot problems, they're problems no more. They've been making them disappear since 1994. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com. One contractor, all things parking lot, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. All right, let's get to our mock draft. First of all, we have to bring up last year where Eric turned it all upside down.
Yeah.
He said, I'm moving Chris Jones, I'm moving 31, and we're going to number 2 in the draft, and I'm taking an edge rusher. Do we have, first of all, let us down easy. Do we have a big move like that this time?
Who was the edge rusher?
Tyree Wilson, wasn't it not?
Oh.
Yeah, Tyree Wilson.
That's right.
Shows how much I know about football, guys. Hopefully he ends up being good. He went to Oakland, which means he's not going to be good. But yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah. All right. So where do we begin? By the way, I love this one. Tim Grunhardt was on today. We talked about what it would take to go up and get Joe Alt. It said it's highly unlikely, right? Virtually impossible. 2 firsts and a second, 2 firsts and a third. We're talking about what it would take. And what do we get? We promised Joe Alt. Come on, settle down. That is not it. And I don't have that trade on mine. Eric, do you want to do the honors? Since you blew it up last year, do you want to lead us off? Who you got going at 32?
I have one Ladarius McConkey, wide receiver, Georgia, otherwise known as Lad.
Why?
Is that really his first name?
No.
Jerry.
Is
he really black?
Well, like
I didn't know
that's
that.
pretty like
white.
Like how many?
Well, am I the only one who found out? Wait a minute, Eric, real quick. Am I the only one who found out this week he's not Phil McConkey's son?
I think Tim Grunhard was in that same category, wasn't he?
Did you guys know?
I never thought he was his son. No.
I assumed he had to be his son. Wide receiver
no.
in the NFL named McConkey?
Yeah.
How many families
Good
are there
question.
named McConkey to
Good
begin
question.
with?
Well, the Phil McConkey have a kid when he was 50 years old. I mean, he played like the 80s.
Yeah.
The Larry Brown of.
Come on. I got it for sure. No relation whatsoever. How is that?
When I found out a white dude could be named Cornelius, I figured anything's possible. So that's when I went with.
Yeah.
But no,
I watched the SEC. Yeah, you're the only one. Thanks.
Yeah, like honestly, I was a profitable sports bettor in the SEC for like half a decade, and I don't know half the players. Jerry Newton was there, the defensive tackle from Illinois. I felt like taking him. I also wanted to add some realism to the draft. I do not think Jerry Newton makes it to the Chiefs, but I have been the best bet on the board last week, I think I said this on this show. I've been on 25 shows, so I could have forgot. The Chiefs at like 16-1 to take a defensive lineman first was stealing money last week. I think it's like 15-2 now. So I do think that there's a chance it's Jerry Newton. But I think they have to trade up for him. I don't think PFF's mock draft simulator is taking into consideration how high he'll go. So I went with the guy who I think will be there at 32, which is Lad McConkey, wide receiver, Georgia.
All right, Jeff.
I was thinking along the same lines Eric is here. There may be a curveball coming depending on who's there. The defensive player I think that could be taken would be a corner. And there could be some guys there like Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think Nate Wiggins is going to go early because he's pretty highly touted. But I think corners are going to get pushed back. And if there's somebody they really like there, I could see them taking a guy at that spot and then looking at receiver in the second round. But for this exercise, I went receiver 2. I didn't go with Lad McConkey. I went with a different SEC receiver. Xavier Legette is my pick out of South Carolina.
Leapfrogging the Panthers, for who reportedly said they'll take him if he's at 33.
Yeah, I love his body. He's a Deebo Samuel.
Wait, can we mark that tape on that? So we have that. We have that forever.
That's Jeff knowing we don't have a producer on the show. We just have Soren being a double duty guy.
It'd take me an hour to pull that cut, but if I can do it, I'm going to do it tonight.
You got to find a way to get it up there. He's 6'1", 220. I think you need a Rashee Rice comp, given that he might not be around very, very long. A guy who could do some things that Rashee Rice does. This guy's a 50-50 ball type player. He returns kicks at a time when the kick return is coming back into the NFL, so you can get some value from him there. And look, to me, it's like I think Malachi Corley could be in that conversation from Western Kentucky. I think A.D. Mitchell might be there at Texas. I think they're going to have some options there at receiver. So the sensible thing for me, given what's happening with Rashee Rice, given the void there, and given that they were willing to be flexible with Rice, would be to take a receiver. So I went with Legette.
And you think corner's the other one. I agree with you in your assessment, both of you, that defense could be what shocks everybody. Andy loves taking defensive linemen, so I think that's a possibility. And corner is a spot that Brett Veach referenced like 3 times last week.
Yeah.
And it kind of came out of nowhere. Is that a smoke screen? Maybe. But I'm with you. And with all the offense coming up there, let me ask you this before I give you my pick. Do we really think it's going to be offense, all up that high?
No. There'll be some defensive players in there.
But what kind of ratio?
2-1.
I would even say 3-1. I could see a couple defensive players and a lot of offense.
But so we do think that corners and D linemen could be pushed down because it's not going to be like, hey, there's so many tackles, we're going to wait to take one. They're all going to go. Like everybody's got tackles going, wideouts going.
Well, and the quarterbacks could throw it off.
Quarterbacks.
The quarterbacks could throw it off. I mean, you could have 6 quarterbacks go in the first round, depending on who trades up and who does what. So
I think the trade ups into the first round are going to be for tackle because of the 5th-year option, how cheap it is. But like that, I mean, you're right though. Like the Chiefs at 32 are going to be, I think, a beneficiary of a lot of different dynamics. The fact is they could use a defensive tackle, a corner, and 16 and a half projected picks are supposed to be wide receivers and tackles, which they also need. Right. But if they get stuck and all these other teams get, make it a run on wide receivers and offensive linemen, the Chiefs are still going to come out of the first round with a pretty good player if they pivot off of it. And then they at a position that they could eventually need, like defensive tackle and corner, to Jeff's point. Corner is like a sneaky need because of Snead being gone.
And Veach already, in that same press conference, hinted at, hey, look, people are talking about the depth at tackle, but really, if you're in the top 15, it's great. But if you're in the second half of the first round, it's not so great. And so you don't want to overdraft at that spot. So that's why I didn't go tackle either.
Is he selling that?
Could be.
Does he believe that, or is that what he's selling to keep people off the fact that he's got a tackle that he thinks will be there?
Possible.
Yeah. Okay.
Possible.
Mine's boring. I take Ladd McConkey. I think he's going to be there. And for all the reasons Eric said, I think he's the right guy. I think the Chiefs value, I think they've adjusted. We saw it with Rashee Rice last year. The all verts, like you need someone to stretch the defense, but teams are playing all those shell defenses. So you need guys that can work some routes, work underneath. Ladd McConkey's a complete receiver. I think it's a great fit. I think it's a great fit for the Chiefs. I think he immediately fills in for Rashee Rice, and you have multiple threats. But I love Leggett too. I know we had somebody up there said, well, only 1 year of production. True. But like once you've been great. But exactly. But once you've been great, I don't think you forget how to be that. No. Right? And so I do think he's a physical guy that immediately replaces Rashee Rice as well. So, all right. So we all go wide receiver in round number 1. Round number 2. Eric, where do you go?
I went in round number 2 with a little bit of a curveball. Every time I've done this, people have gotten mad at me with other teams and said I'm overdrafting this guy. I don't think so. I think I'm getting a great athlete. I think I'm going to draft a player at this position that the Chiefs have not hit on since a single up the middle for Noah Gray and a home run for Travis Kelce. Jatavion Sanders, tight end, Texas.
That is.
Why do you like him? Yeah.
I just like. He's the there's 2 tight ends in this draft that can be, in my opinion, blue chip players in the NFL. One of them's Brock Bowers, who is going to be overdrafted, and the other one is Jatavion Sanders, who can be a huge bust. The Chiefs are a rare situation where if you take a guy like this too high, he doesn't have to play right away. They have Noah Gray that can do some of the stuff. They have obviously Travis that can do a lot of the pass catching still, and so he can come in and avoid the plight of highly drafted tight ends, which is that you need to come in and be everything everywhere all at once. And as Jeff knows, like learning the physicality of having to block a 6-eye and a 7 technique in the run game while also, being combination covered by guys like Jeff and guys like, London Fletcher on a back-to-back basis. Like that's a tough, the position doesn't develop well. So if a guy can go to a place like Kansas City and do one thing for 1 or 2 years, he has a better shot of developing, in my opinion. And I would rather do that with a guy who has really amazing physical tools like him.
Okay. Jeff, where do you go? Or first, do you have a reaction to Sanders?
Look, I've got a tight end in my draft, but he ain't second. I'll put it that way. So I trust Eric with the tight end knowledge, the tight end evaluations. I don't mind it. I think there's a need there, like a sneaky need that people aren't seeing. Yeah, Noah Gray's in his last year, and Travis is getting older. You got to have somebody who you got to start developing. So I don't mind it. I think it's a smart play. But I'm going with left tackle here, and I'm going to butcher this guy's name here, Kingsley Suamatea. Am I saying it correctly, Eric?
It's a good. You did a good job there.
Did I? Okay,
yes.
It's all right for all the Samoans who were in the house. He's a big kid, 6'5", 326. What I love about him, his numbers at the combine in the 40 and the 10-yard dash were better than Penei Sewell. And so he's a raw kid, only started 1 year at left tackle. He's a BYU guy. So, Andy Reid loves him, but he's a guy you can develop. He's a guy who has got the athletic ability to play the position. There are other guys who I liked there, but I think he might fall because he's a little more raw. I don't think some people have been mocked in high second round. I could see him being lower second round. So if he's there, they grab him.
You like it, Eric?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're really going to have to like the player to do a second round lineman, because I think the starters that they have, I think that they feel okay about. But yeah, it's, if you like the player here, it's pretty good, I think.
No, I'm going to play the hits. There's no way anybody looks at the tape of last year and is happy with Wanya Morris left tackle. Are you, Eric, really?
Well, but a second round pick is not solving that problem, I don't think.
I think you bring Donovan Smith back too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Jeff's being an adult about it, which is to say you're bringing back Donnie Smith. But
yeah, but I think one thing they've learned over the last couple of years is they can scheme around. Andy had great tackles in Philly. He had great tackles to start, or at least very good and great tackles to start. They learned that they can live with okay, right? So if you take a shot, if you take a flyer for some upside, and he just ends up being okay, you can scheme around it. So I'm swinging for the fences. I'll tell you one guy I was thinking about in this spot, and I think he's a distinct possibility. That's the Houston offensive tackle, Patrick Paul, 6'7.5", 340, super long arms. They love the long arms, but I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go with a different project. One of my other draft crushes. Eric, you want to tell everyone who I'm taking?
The kid from Yale.
Kieran Amegaji, offensive tackle, Yale, 6'5" and change, 310 pounds, super athletic, super long arms, project. And I agree. Donovan Smith comes back, plays another year. This kid gets an apprenticeship. He's ready to step in on either side. And you get a guy that's got real left tackle, swing for the fences. If you're wrong, maybe you're moving Juwan Taylor over. I think there are some other spots they look at. I think they may look wide out again. I think they look corner. They look D-line. But I think they've got to get an elite athlete at tackle. And that's what this kid is.
You think he's going to be there?
Well, how about that? People don't like my pick, and then the first reaction is, will he be there?
I'm not killing your pick. I'm just saying you think he'll be there.
I've seen him at as high as 45. I think this would probably need to be a trade up in round 2, to be honest with you. I think, and I almost put the Houston kid down instead, Patrick
I thought
Paul,
about him. Yeah.
because I think he's probably more likely to be there because he's less athletic. But, it's my mock draft. If Eager can move up to pick 2 last year, I'll take my Yale kid right there. So I feel good. I've addressed the top 2 knee positions, which miraculously every year in the draft seems to happen with Brett Veach. What are their top 4 needs? Oh, look who went 1, 2, 3, 4. Their top 4 needs. I love Eric having the sleeper tight end, and I played around with mock drafts with Sanders as well, but it's usually pretty chalky on them taking the needs. So I went with the need here. All right, pick 95, round 3. Eric, where are you going?
Local kid, Cooper Beebe, 23 years old, 6'4", 335-pound guard, 759 snaps the last 3 years, 4th highest graded guard by Pro Football Focus. Now, this one's like a little bit of a question on athleticism. He's more of a Trey Smith than he is a Creed Humphrey. But they need to replace Trey Smith. People need to grow up and realize that Trey Smith is going to go make $20 million somewhere else. So they got to replace Trey Smith at some point. So I think Cooper Beebe gets brought in and his interior offensive line depth, at least initially, to replace Nick Allegretti and then eventually start.
Okay. By the way, they don't like none of our number 2s will be there.
Hey,
You
folks,
got to pick somebody.
when you run through the simulation, sometimes your favorite guy isn't there when we pick Cotton. That's just get over it, okay? And sometimes I do make an executive decision and say he's not going to be here. So for the content, I don't take. I'm not going to take Laitu Latu at 32, boys. But the thing is, chill out.
Yeah, every year there's also the guy that's projected to go bottom of round 1, and we start day 3.
I had N'Keal Harry went 32 picks ahead of DK Metcalf. Like this thing, I had some guy in my DMs offer me $500 saying Will Levis was going first overall last year. He didn't even go first overall in the second round. Okay, like this is a very unpredictable event, boys. Like let's back up.
Okay.
And girls.
I think there's a good chance it's a big boy in round 1 too, Douglas. Didn't work out that way today, but that brings us to the third round, pick 95 for Jeffri Chadiha.
You know what? I did the draft simulator for this, and I was really intrigued by the idea of Marshawn Lloyd, the running back from USC, taking a page from Eric's. Take an offensive weapon. He's got some Jerick McKinnon in him. The ACL he had, the leg injuries he had kind of turned me off to it. So I'm going to get my corner here. Also going with a local product. I'm going Missouri's Chris Abrams-Drain. Not the biggest guy in the world, but similar in body type to Trent McDuffie, but good cover guy, great ball skills. I think he was an underrated part of their success. I think he can play in multiple schemes. If you want to mix your coverages up, this is the kind of corner you want to have in the mix. So I think he's a pretty good value in the third round.
Yeah, I looked at him. I think he'll definitely be there in the third. I saw some stuff that had him there in the fourth for the Chiefs. I've seen some stuff that has him really high in the third. Like he wouldn't be there. I went corner as well. I went Jarrian Jones, corner, Florida State, 6'1", their kind of guy. Listen, every corner that is listed now is at least 5'11", and like everybody, like no one plays 5'8" corners anymore, right? Darrell Green is dead.
Yeah.
Like you can't find him. I literally went through all these corners, and they're all 6'1", 6 foot, 6'1", 6 foot. What do I know about Jarrian Jones? He's their size.
He's 6'1".
I just hope Darrell Green's actually alive.
He is. He's still alive. But yeah, like I don't know. They all look the same to me. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, like I thought about Max Melton, the kid from Rutgers, but he's not going to be there in the third round. Maybe as a second round pick. But yeah, they're all around the same. But a lot of these guys, they don't cover. They don't play a lot of man coverage. They play a lot of zone coverage, zone techniques. So you can be a bigger guy. You don't have to be some stud player. I mean, to go find a guy like Patrick Surtain, that's a unicorn. Like most of these guys are going to be in the same boat. And yeah, they're hard to pick from.
I just try to look for every guy who looks like he could also play safety.
Well,
and take him. Or safeties that look like they could play corner and take him. Because that's the consistent trait of a Steve Spagnuolo DB, right?
Yeah. Well, the kid Wiggins, he's not that big, is he? The kid from Clemson? He's like 5'10", isn't he?
Nate Wiggins is skinny, right? He's like Emmanuel Forbes.
He's 6'2"?
Nate Wiggins?
Oh, wow.
Let's see. I think so.
He looks like he's 5'10" out there.
I got to find him where I can click on him. Rakestraw. Well, I'll look it up while we're talking, but yeah. My recollection, you tell me, Eric, you know better than me. 6'2"?
I think so, yeah. 6'2", but he's like 160. He's like skinny like Emmanuel Forbes.
Here, now I got him. 6'2", 185.
Okay.
I think 185. Maybe it's like more like 170.
He looks small. Yeah,
he looks too small. Although Josh Williams is small, he looks awfully lean out there. So yeah, but I'm with you. Wiggins isn't going to be there for the Chiefs anyway. All right, round 4. Now it gets intriguing. Eric has gone. Just to recap: Ladd McConkey, Jatavion Sanders, Cooper Beebe, wideout, tight end, guard. Where do you go? Round 4, pick 131.
I am going with Isaiah Adams, tackle Illinois. So we're going to load up here on offensive lineman, 6'5", 315. Better PFF grade in 2022 than 2023. And he's kind of, again, the inside outside, kind of a Wanya Morris like hedge here. There is some guard people, but he has the length to play tackle too, I think. So
Okay. Jeff.
Same boat as Eric. I'm going back to the offensive line here. I'm sticking with the Samoan theme. I'm going with Sitoa Lamea from Utah, who's actually played right guard and right tackle, which I like that about him. I'm thinking like Eric is for a Trey Smith replacement, but I'm also thinking versatility. Let's have more guys who can play more spots, go line up on the outside if they have to. And he's 6'4", 319. He's got good agility, good quickness. He's an okay athlete, not a phenomenal athlete, but I see him more as somebody who you can plug in after a year of sitting on the bench and find a way to take over for Trey Smith.
Eric, you like the pick?
Mm-hmm. I like, at this point, it's just like pick the offensive lineman that's available that you like that fits the Chiefs profile.
Trying to find a spelling. We'll have to find it later. All right. I'm up, and I agree with you. I got no problem with them popping offensive tackles here, but I also think when you're re-signing Derek Nottie, there's an issue, right? You're missing the boat on some things here when you're going down that road. You need more defensive linemen. Whether you realize it or not, you do. And I have not gone D lineman yet. Eric, we talked about, you talked D-line, but you haven't done it. I think they will definitely take a defensive lineman in their first 4 picks. I mentioned that when you look at their top needs, they seem to come off the board in order every year.
Yeah.
So I've gone wide out, I've gone tackle, I've gone corner. Now I go with a Steve Spagnuolo special, 6'6", 315 pounds, Mason Smith, 2 A's in Mason. LSU.
Yep.
Looks the part of a Steve Spagnuolo guy. Good pass rush grade, better pass rush grade than run grade, which is what they want. Looks Chris Jonesy, keeps with the length that they like. I think this guy is a Steve Spagnuolo dream. So we add some more length, plus Charles Omenihu being out. This gives him maybe the inside portion of Omenihu's game, and I think it gives him a guy on down the road. So, listen, I think Darius Robinson in the first round from Missouri is a possibility because of his length. If they don't get
Definitely.
there, I think they take a long D tackle somewhere. This is one of the longest ones of the bunch.
How about that guy Sweat?
I think in the third round, for sure he's a possibility.
Yeah,
I mean, did you hear it? The way Brett Veach answered me about that.
Oh, you asked him about that?
I asked him. I said because of Rashee Rice, a guy like Sweat or others with problems have to come off the board. Yeah. And he basically said, "We do our background. We trust our research. We'll do it." Listen, if you have been injured in any way, shape, or form, Northland Injury Law is Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other serious personal injuries. Their attorneys have been serving the Kansas City area for more than 40 years. If they don't get paid, you don't get paid. That's right. They don't get paid unless you get paid. Northland Injury Law voted #1 accident lawyer in Kansas City. Don't wait. Get compensated right now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. And if you have a case right now, text HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be made based solely upon advertisements. Again, if you've been hurt, text HURT to 22222 to get connected with Northland Injury Law 24/7. All right, Eric, you're back up on the clock. Where are you going at the first of 2 fifth-round picks? You're at 159.
Christian Jones, tackle, Texas. We're going tackle again. 6'6", 321. Improved every year per PFF. I'm loading up on offensive line here. We're getting that part of the game right here.
Help me out, Christian Jones from
Tejas.
Texas. Okay. Yeah. Like we're going to solve this issue one way or another, huh?
Is that
Yeah, I
three
mean, it's the
linemen?
draft that's deep here, right? Like, and it drafted
Three
deep.
linemen, yes. 1 guard and 2 tackles for Eric.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Jeff?
Somebody in the comment sections wants numbers thrown at the receiver position like it was thrown at corner a couple of years back. I am going to acknowledge that and take exactly what was just thrown up there. Luke McCaffrey from Rice, wide receiver. Ed McCaffrey's kid, Christian McCaffrey's brother.
I like it.
And he's a former college quarterback. Couldn't get it done at that position at Rice. He moved to receiver. I think he caught 50 balls in his first year and led the team in his second year with like 75 catches, I think 11 touchdowns. Bloodlines here are big. He's Ed McCaffrey's kid, so you know he's going to learn fast that position. He's already learning fast. Christian McCaffrey's bro. Not the same athlete, but maybe he's the Justin Watson now. Maybe he's the guy who grows and blossoms and develops late. I just love the fact that the guy moved to receiver and was immediately a successful player. So 5th round pick. I think he comes in, he's smart, team player, probably plays special teams for you. Makes a difference.
Okay. I like it. I've done a couple of mock drafts and where I don't end up wide receiver early, I end up taking him. I like the bloodlines comment you made as well. So I like the pick. Me, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm tired of watching worm burners back to the quarterback. Like, to me, at some point, the snap should actually make it to Patrick Mahomes. I agree that whether it's Trey Jones or Creed Humphrey, one of those guys isn't going to be here. And I think on down the line, Joe Tooney is not getting any younger. So you need to take an interior player. I'm going to take Hunter Norzad, center, Penn State, longest arm center. I think they're fixated on that stat. Projected in the 4th round. He's in the 4th, 5th round. I've got him going here in the 5th because whether he ends up playing guard, they also don't have who they lose to Washington.
Nick Allegretti.
Thank you. They don't have Nick Allegretti, so it's a need to have a backup center as well. So I think just depth-wise and maybe a chance to move Creed Humphrey over to guard, taking Hunter Norzad, center, Penn State. And I think they need to address they don't have many offensive linemen. I think Eric's loading up on the O-line. Makes a lot of sense.
Do long arms matter at center?
They matter everywhere in their mind. Everywhere. Maybe it's longer arms and Creed Humphrey could get the snap all the way back.
Okay.
So the arms are too short. Alligator arms don't, I don't, Creed Humphrey may have had the longest arms of any center in his draft class. I don't know. All right, Eric, your 2nd, 5th round pick, 173.
You guys will be surprised. I'm taking Bo Limmer, center, Arkansas.
And why, Eric?
Because I need to stop the worm burners from happening. I need to at least have an option in case my guy decides to kill some wildlife on the ground.
Are we okay that a broken hand is being attributed to the problem of Creed Humphrey, while the only thing, literally the only thing holding back Kadarius Toney is injury? Like, I don't like being lumped in the same category if I'm Creed Humphrey. It's just injury.
Yeah, except for if you play center and you're going to break your hand again, probably. So.
Okay.
Did I miss that? When did that come out that he had a broken hand?
It's one of the things.
It did come up, but.
It's been trickling out there as well. I don't know if it's. Listen, Creed Humphrey's a popular guy, and he's a really good player once the play's going.
Yeah.
Right? But I think a lot of people love him, and a lot of people want to find reasons for it. It's become the popular theme that he had some kind of hand injury that was, I've heard it from about 3 or 4 different people.
Was he playing with something on his hand? Then if you have a broken hand, I think you'd have some kind of medical device on it to help it heal.
Let me be clear. This is a media thing. I have not heard it from anyone from the Chiefs. Have you,
Okay.
Eric?
No.
But it's become the popular theme.
Okay.
Because
Never
we
seen it
like
with a broken
Creed
hand.
Humphrey,
Yeah.
and we don't want to get mad at Creed Humphrey.
No. Yeah. Nick Bolton was playing with some kind of cast on his wrist, wasn't he, for like 3 or 4 games after he came back? Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't lift all year with that hand once he got hurt. That's a real injury. Missed a couple of games. Listen, if he was hurt and played through it, I respect the hell out of him. He warriored up and got it done. We're going to find out in training camp. We're going to find out very quickly if the snaps are getting back to Patrick Mahomes. I'll buy it when I see it. Jeff, you're up, second pick in round 5, 173.
Yeah, a couple of picks ago, you made the point about adding depth to the defensive line. I'm going that direction this time. I think, 5th round, you're probably getting more of a project type guy, but this is the get Derek Nottie the hell out of town pick for me. I'm going defensive tackle Justin Jefferson from LSU, who's a 6'3", 313. He's an SEC kid, so Brett Veach is going to like him. Great quickness, great first step, needs to develop. He's not a finished product right now, but he's got some size, some agility traits that you like at that position. And maybe next year we'll be talking about Derek Nottie playing for the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Can we pour one out because it's Jeff who screwed up the name and not me?
Oh, Jordan Jefferson. Is it
Yes.
Justin? Okay.
You said
Justin? Yeah.
So
he'd be nice too.
That's a classic Petro move. Name somebody who's a real person when you mean somebody else. That's a classic. I'm wearing off on you.
Yeah. Jordan Jefferson. My fault.
Yeah, Jordan Jefferson. Okay. I like it. I've looked at him. I picked him a few times on some mock drafts as well. All right. 6th round. Listen, somebody explain to me why Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back on the roster. Can't do it.
Familiarity. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the silence is deafening, let me point out, and I do appreciate it. Let me tell you, there is no reason for him to be second up on the depth chart. So, one of the more versatile running backs has returned kicks, to your point, Eric, about the kick return being back in the game and being part of the – or was that you, Jeff?
That was my point.
That was you on Leggett, being a part of the game. We're going to get a kick returner. We know if you're going to play running back for Andy Reid, you better catch the ball. You're going to get a guy who they flexed out, flared out. They love guys who played at big programs. Will Shipley, running back, Clemson, is my pick. Can be in the kick return game, and I think immediately is your second best running back. It is Isaiah Pacheco has caught the ball more than I remember, but it's kind of simplistic. I think Shipley can really do some stuff in the passing game. I think it's a great value in the 6th round. So I grabbed Will Shipley at running back. Do you like that pick, Eric?
I do. I thought he was a little bit better earlier in his career at Clemson, but he's certainly the versatile kind of player that we're looking for. So, that to me helps quite a bit, because the other part is like Jerick McKinnon is kind of the straw that stirs the drink when it comes to the running back position at times, and there's really not that answer there right now either.
By the way, has anybody watched the draft? They keep harping this. If you think mock drafts have it nailed where guys are going to go, let me point something out. Brett Veach chastised himself for having 221 players on his board and said he knows realistically there are about 50 or 60 of them that they have graded as 5th round picks or 6th or 7th round picks that there's no way they get drafted and they'll be signing afterwards. After you get to the 3rd round, watch. You people have to go back and look at mock
this
draft.
Is ridiculous. Like
after the draft has come down, right? Like it is. There are going to be guys that you can't believe weren't picked, and there are going to be guys you've never heard of that go in the 3rd round.
Yep.
Study this a little bit. You'll see what I'm talking about. All right. All right. So that's my 5th. 7th round, 221. Last pick for the Chiefs. Eric, where are you going?
I am going with Joe Milton, quarterback, Tennessee.
Okay.
Got to develop that position.
Okay.
There's one coach who can make Joe Milton good, and I want to see it happen.
And that guy is Andy Reid.
And Andrew Reid, yeah. Joe
Jeff?
Milton's got a great arm. He's got great athleticism. Everything else sucks. I think what's that?
I know he's got a big arm, but is he really a great athlete?
He moves around pretty well.
6'5", 246.
Yeah, he's a big, Big Ben type of athlete.
Yeah. He ran better than Patrick Mahomes.
Well,
so
I love that pick. Him at Michigan. Yep.
I love that pick. I also love the fact that he can run a quarterback sneak at 6'5", 245. So I bow to you, Eric. Nice job.
Carson Wentz's job.
Yeah, I love it. You like that one, Jeff?
I do. I mean,
yeah, me too.
He is an intriguing prospect, watching him at Michigan and seeing he obviously played better in Tennessee, but he's got some traits to him that you like. And he'll be around 6 or 7. You're taking a flyer at this point, so I don't mind it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's go. Jeff, where do you go with the last pick?
I'm going with a guy who I think came into college with Joe Milton at Michigan, who is finished up at Iowa. There's my tight end, Eric All, who some people think he will be a much higher pick. I think his medicals will make him fall. He had an ACL injury last year. He had back surgery the year before. If he's healthy, I think he is second, third round pick. And so, but I think the medicals might drop him down and he'll end up being a guy who you could end up seeing filling that spot, as Eric said, that Noah Gray has been holding down for a while, being an adequate bridge once Travis Kelce moves on. Not a lot of risk involved, but, when he was healthy at Michigan, he was a player. And it comes from a school that does pretty well with tight ends.
Yes.
I'll take that too.
I love the Eric All. And listen, he's all over the place. Yeah. And you're right. I think there's some people that are going to take him off the board. So who knows where he's going to go. I like him as well. I looked at him in the 5th round as a possibility. But I have seen some people say they don't know if he can play just because of the medical. So I'm going to go with a guy. Tell me if you have heard of Zion Logue. Logue.
Logue. No.
Yeah. And whoever thinks I'm picking guys way too high, you pop on right now. Tell me who this guy is. You've had time to Google him. He's listed as a college free agent, right? But I'm going to take him. I'm going to take him because he stands. I got to find my measurements here. Hang on. He stands 6 feet. What did he measure? Measured in at 6 feet 5 and 5/8, 314 pounds. University of Georgia, rotational defensive tackle, big physical player. And to me, again, they've got a problem here. Joe Cullen is a guy who makes guys better. I don't know, hadn't been able to make Derek Nottie better. But again, they like size on the inside. So I wanted to make sure I took a project with the last pick. So I'm taking Zion Logue, Logue, out of Georgia. Only 52 tackles, only plays 21 snaps a game, but that's at Georgia. And I remember a guy that the Chiefs took in the 7th round. I think practice squatted for 1 year and let go. Then ended up being a starter for the Raiders. Turdell Sands. You remember that name?
Vaguely.
Tackle. Out of
was he 6'8"?
He was 6'6", 6'7". Okay. He was out of Appalachian State. And I remember asking Dick Vermeil, well, why'd you take him? He goes, he's 6'7", 320. We figured we might as well take him and not have to negotiate with his agent, driving up the price. He was upset about taking him. But that's the mindset of what goes on in round 7. The guys that they're taking oftentimes are guys that they just don't want to jerk around with trying to sign. And so if you're like, hey, we like this guy, probably going to practice squad him. Let's see what Joe Cullen can do. We don't want to have to negotiate with him, and we need depth on the D-line. I think this is a good fit. I think it's a good fit. Eric, go ahead. What were you going to say, Jeff?
I was going to say, I can't believe I didn't know anything about a 6'8" guy who played on Georgia. That would have been somebody who'd be memorable.
6'5" and a half, or 6'5" and 5/8.
Okay.
So not 6'8". But, Georgia has everybody who's huge. The whole team is giant. Eric, your favorite pick that you made was what?
Jatavion Sanders followed by Joe Milton. I did not pick a defensive player, which I think I probably would want to have back if I was doing it again. But I like those two picks. I think the potential is pretty high for those two players.
Jeff, your favorite pick?
Abrams Drain. I was talking to Steven St. John this morning at your radio station. He was a big Missouri Tiger fan. And he said that, was it Ennis Rexstraw? Is it Enos or Ennis? Ennis?
Rexstraw, yeah.
Rexstraw. He said he's got the more hype, but this kid was the better football player. So
Okay.
I feel like I'm getting a steal.
Okay. My favorite is Mason Smith. I really think there's a very strong chance Chiefs end up taking him because he, like Robinson, looks like a Steve Spagnuolo defensive lineman. So I think they'll be hot to trot on him. If I had one I dislike, it's Jerry and Jones, because I've given up trying to figure out what corners they like. I'm always wrong, but I'm like, they're definitely going to take a corner.
Yeah.
Because they've got three of them that are going to come up all at the same time from the draft class from 2 years ago. So I think they've got to keep taking corners to make sure they got a guy, but I literally have no idea. You have a pick you don't like, Eric, or is it just the fact that you didn't find a defender?
I think it's the fact that I didn't find a defender. Yeah.
Okay. Jeff, one you don't like?
I'm not crazy about Jordan Jefferson. It's more of just a need, depth, trying to find a developmental guy. He if they took him, he might be a guy who didn't do anything, but got to find somebody who's big to play that position.
All right, there it is. Mark it down. One of us, for 10 years running, have gotten every round right. Out of the three of us, one of us will get it right. It's a guarantee. Hashtag sarcasm. Listen, you want to guarantee Gann Asphalt and Concrete, they are the best. 30 years solving any and all parking lot problems. They help you avoid unnecessary delays, liability issues, costly expenses. Focus on your business, not your parking lot. Let Gann Asphalt and Concrete do that. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online right now at GannAsphalt.com. One contractor, all things parking lot. For Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, Eric Eager from Sumer Sports, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.